Dave, there was a pretty good thunder and lightning storm right off the boat. The brightest, loudest thunder I've ever seen or heard.
Really?
Yeah. Like I said, on the ocean, you know, there's no obstructions.
Scary.
Gets your attention. Yeah.
I would be scared it was like the Poseidon Adventure or something.
It wasn't.
I know I've only been on one cruise, but isn't there always like another boat that they sail together? No? I always thought that. Maybe when we went, there was always a boat like that was kind of like a little far, I mean, further away.
Elementary starts Monday.
6,000 on the
What kind of princess or
ship. This was a car.
6,000.
6,000?
It's a lot of people.
4,500 passengers.
That's crazy.
Magic.
It's a lot.
Just think of all the food and drinks. Wow. Yeah, they do.
And there was for another.
Oh, yeah.
Different companies and trips.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's City of Casa Grande study session. We have two tonight. We have a presentation from our Destination Marketing Organization, and then we also have a presentation from Gorman Group, Gorman Company. So I think first on the docket tonight is Renee Luzon-Ben, who's the Chamber President, and you're going to give us a presentation on the Destination Marketing Organization.
I am. Thank you for having me here this evening. We just recently met and reviewed our strategic direction. And what you're looking at today actually is going to our advisory board tomorrow, and some of the red things will be turned black with real numbers. But I want you to see where we're going. First, what was really important is that when we reviewed this, we confirmed our vision, which I can read better over here, a destination of choice for visitors and residents seeking leisure and adventure. There's no change to that. We still feel that's our vision. And our mission is to steward experiences and attractions that strengthen our community and enhance our local economy. And then if you see to the right our position, because we are conveniently located between Tucson and Phoenix, I like to say we're the best place between. Casa Grande, Arizona offers affordable experiences for visitors interested in proximity to many of the state's major attractions, a sunny location with predictable weather, sunny, an uncrowded, calm, and peaceful small-town atmosphere, wide open spaces, breathtaking desert vistas, dark, starry nights, and unforgettable sunrises and sunsets, authentic Western and indigenous events and sites, and some of the nation's best Southwestern cuisine. We all agree that that should all stay as well. I'd like to go back to the part about the peaceful small-town atmosphere. So many of our winter visitors that come back year after year, so that's one of the reasons they come here, is Casa Grande is friendly, and it always, even though there's been such growth, it always just feels like a friendly small town, and that's why they come here. And that's something we want to continue to promote. How many of you wear cheaters like this? Aren't they fun? So if you look to the right, there's kind of a method here. On the right is one area of focus. There's initiatives, and the success measures in the center relate to the initiatives. The area of focus to build out the Tourism Advisory Board organization and structure. This hasn't really changed that much since last year and the year before. The initiatives we're maintaining and have tweaked a bit to define Tourism Advisory Board roles and expectations. So we were very excited to get started, and we, recruited our advisory board, and, we operate. Let me step back for a moment. The tourism office is an office or department of the chamber. The chamber has a governing board. The chamber has bylaws. So everything the chamber does operates under that. And so, for a year, we've just been keeping in mind that we have bylaws that our advisory board also falls under, because in our bylaws and our policies, we talk about committees. However, we haven't done a great job in formalizing that and providing more structure and support for our advisory board. And that's one of our plans this year, is an enhancement and a growth of that area. Something we do for our governing board is they all sign a commitment form every year. And the commitment form really outlines their roles and responsibilities, and also has a conflict of interest area. We need something like that in place, and maybe more orientation and a charter, like we have a charter for our Government Affairs Committee. We have a charter for our Healthcare Roundtable. So we're going to be putting things like that into place, and also identifying opportunities for education, continuing education, and for anyone who, the one opportunity we know of right now is the annual Governor's Conference on Tourism. But that's an opportunity for someone who doesn't have a lot of knowledge to go and learn about what is the state of Arizona doing, what resources are available for their tourism offices like the chamber. And so we're putting more structure in place for our advisory board. And then with that, we're going to raise a little more awareness of this advisory board and the tourism office and its importance to Casa Grande. We talked about it in our mission, and I think keywords are "and enhance our local economy." So more communication about that. Our second area of focus is to activate and implement existing destination brand. That itself hasn't changed. However, our initiatives is to build the brand story. Last round, it was to elevate the brand, to make it known. We've had people who've had the T-shirts, the Love It stamp on the back. We've had billboards. People are starting to ask a little more about it. But our goal is using different initiatives, listening sessions with our happy residents who brag all the time about how they love living in Casa Grande. Let's get them together and talk about why they love it and what messaging we can use from those listening sessions to tell our story, or Casa Grande's story, to Casa Grande and beyond. To deploy a regional marketing campaign and encourage more room nights in Casa Grande. That's a conundrum, because currently it's tough to get room nights in Casa Grande for bigger groups, but there's going to be a hotel going up, and then when that one goes up, somebody else will go, hey, that's a good idea, we should do that too, and we'll work on filling those hotels and getting groups here playing softball and baseball and having more roping events. And I'm getting ahead of myself because that's the next initiative. Support local tourism product and asset development. To create and implement a comprehensive events plan with 3 key pillars: support, develop, and promote. So that isn't just about the Chamber and Tourism Office hosting a Southwest Taco Fest. That is about identifying other events in the area that we can help steward and grow and promote, encourage them to apply for the resources available through our tourism sponsorship program, point them in the direction of some other resources to help them grow their event, because the more they promote their event, the more people come to them, the more people come to Casa Grande. Maybe it's their first time, and then they come back year after year. That's what we want to do. And pursue this is really cool. How many of you know about how many photography groups go around for dark skies? They do it. They do it down at Picacho Peak all the time. Photo groups will go for just an outing at night for our beautiful dark skies. So we're going to get ourselves designated as an official dark sky community so that we can start promoting to those people who like to take pictures in the dark. How are we going to get there? So not only do you have this one slide that I have, you have a budget. Now this budget is a forecast. It's what we hope to do and how we hope to spend the dollars. The first part of the line items talks about the Arizona Cooperative Marketing Program. We hope to get every dollar out of that program we can by getting match up to $50,000, because that would mean we'd have $100,000 in advertising. And you see a list of most of the things we've already been participating in, and you've been seeing samples. For those of you who have been seeing our quarterly reports, you see some of the tear sheets and pages that show our display ads or the content on Casa Grande and why people should come here. We will be doing billboards again. We will be doing them locally again, trying to capture the interest of local travelers. We are looking at a postal service advertising program in Western Canada. That's a $6,000 investment. We will be on the back of the Explore Pinal official visitor's guide, which we distribute in our lobby and are distributed from visitor centers throughout Pinal County and probably throughout the state. We did put money aside for our film office so that we can maintain our Film Ready membership as well as attend a film expo in Los Angeles. Local event marketing, that's our sponsorship program. It's getting off to a slow start, but I just approved another $1,500, and we've encouraged some others to apply. And we are promoting it both in our newsletter as well as on social media. So we're starting to get some interest in that. Also, some spam. It's amazing what people will take time to fill out. Neon Sign Park, we have an MOU to offset operating costs related to the electric bill and landscaping maintenance. Printed collateral, there's going to be some designs somewhere. The public relations and influencers, we did use some, and somebody just shared back with me, it's Welcome Arizona, and it was talking about our Neon Sign Park, and that is part of the program we paid for with an influencer. Signature event, the Southwest Taco Fest. We're doing it again. Mark your calendars for the last Saturday in March, 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. Oh, it's okay, there'll be advertisements. We're going to continue the taco trail. We've been getting some momentum in that, and we want to continue to do that. We did put some money aside to ensure that we're maintaining and updating our tourism website. Some important things is the fact that we're investing in more social media digital marketing campaign for the Experience Casa Grande program. Visitor guide distribution. This year we're producing 15,000 visitor guides, and I don't have any with me, and I should have brought one for all of you, but they're coming out soon. In October will be the 2024-25 visitor guides, and there'll be 15,000. And there are over 60 visitor centers in the state, and we want to make sure that they all have some as well. And instead of waiting for them to call and ask, we'll just make sure to send them. As well as one of the things we want to invest in this year, and that is a software platform. I'm not sure what it is yet. I have 3 I'm looking at with the Arizona Office of Tourism program, and one that's not part of that, that uses, some of them use telephones, mobile data. Others are more of an economic impact report, but which one would be most useful in giving us a snapshot of where are we now? Who's visiting us? What do they look like? Where are they from? What are their ages? And so we can learn more about our visitors and find better ways to target our messages to them. Some of this requires subscriptions, bit.ly for our QR codes, and website hosting. We do pay professional services, and that is the just regular posts to social media, not the actual digital marketing. And then we do have our work session. We do use a consultant for that. The conference costs, I highly recommend. We have 3 people going this year. I'd like to go, and we have 2 new advisory board members. Zoe Cooper will be going, and Mindy Pieper will be going this year. And then we have the cost of staffing and our administrative expenses, and that is our total budget. However, you might see things move. What if we're able to get that data program from the Arizona Office of Tourism and it's a match and it saves us money somewhere else? You might see a couple of pop-up tents that we bring to the downtown street fair and to the Halloween stroll, so people are asking more about this logo and what it's about, and we can be going back and answering the questions that's part of our strategic plan. And that's all I have as my presentation, unless you have any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Lisa?
Thank you, Renee. Thanks for the update. It's good to see what's going on. You guys are busy. Looking at the budget, and you talked a little bit about the activities that are going on downtown, and I don't really see anything in the budget for Main Street, and, it seems, unless they are applying separately.
They are.
But I would imagine, okay, but
Yeah.
why wouldn't you have anything in there? I'm just curious, because so many of those activities that are going on downtown, I would imagine, bring visitors here.
Well, we didn't want to make it exclusive to one to have just one pot of money for Main Street, but instead we have a $15,000 pot of money, and we've
For local
already,
marketing.
in the past,
Okay. So they apply for that?
yes,
when
in the
events
past
come
fiscal
up.
year, we approved 2, and we just approved another one.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they have a lot of events, and we want to support them.
Right.
It would be really nice down the road to move that needle up
Ma-
from
Main Street's part of
15,000.
the board too, so she's at every meeting.
Okay,
So
okay.
she's
she's
very
in the loop
involved,
and-
yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, because it just
That-
seems like
that's a very
big-
good question,
a
though.
big
Thank you for
piece, and
asking.
we
Yeah.
want to promote the downtown
Yep,
and,
yep.
and the activities that they bring in. I know she has a budget, but it's pretty limited, so I was just curious
Yeah,
by
and
a
I
little
think
piece of that.
And I think our plan was to use the dollars to help promote events in Casa Grande.
Yes.
Whether it's the main, whether
Right.
it's the winter one, or whether it's the Taco Fest, or, any of the other events. Her
She has
Friday-
the
her
one
Friday
coming
events.
up in Hispanic Heritage
Right.
Month,
Yeah.
it's Celebra, that event.
Right.
They're
So-
not
so we'll
limited
help
to a
her
time of
advertise.
year, and we are encouraging, and we've also supported, because let's be honest, Oktoberfest is growing, and it's a reason to come to Casa Grande.
Yeah.
So we're supporting Oktoberfest as well as the Pretzel Project, because now we have an art installation that's worthy of coming down for photographs in Casa Grande.
Yeah, and I think Main Street has a permanent position on the board too, as a
As an
major
advisory member.
organization, as an advisory board. As I think the city has 2 spots, Main Street has 1, Chamber obviously has 1 that are on the advisory board, and then we try and put in,
We
like
have
a
senior
hotelier-
communities.
hoteliers,
Yeah.
Represented, and we have
RV
hotel,
park representation.
hoteliers.
Matt, go ahead.
Oktoberfest is October 19th, by the way.
Noted.
So as someone who was intimately involved with the beginning of this, along with Renee, as I was president of the chamber at the time, and we had a lot of effort getting this going. And I'll say when Craig was first running for office as mayor, all those many 8 years ago, 10 years ago now, this is one of his big things to help promote Casa Grande. So in the middle of this, we got hit with, COVID. So when we were about ready to shut it down, but we all came together, the city, the chamber, now the tourism board, the community, and it's working well, and we're new at it. And it took so much more than we thought to get going, in
It's
a good way.
It's a bigger lift than maybe we thought.
Yeah, but it's been very successful so far, and it's growing. So we have a lot of good input from a lot of different organizations.
So this is really our
And-
first full year.
Yeah, and look forward to more. And we've even got into the movie business, which we have had some stuff filmed here.
Yeah.
Just so much more things comes out of it, and I just want to say, Renee and her team over there have done a great job of doing that, and as well as the chamber board and the tourism board, and it takes everybody to make it happen. And as we go through this, like you said, the downtown events, which was always a focus too, but there was an idea to say, hey, a lot of people have events like the airport, this, and everyone can submit. And it's not like real ultra competitive. It's like, hey, submit, and we would love to support it, promote it, give money, whatever happens from this tourism board, which actually I'm not on the tourism board anymore, just as just clarification. But it's been working out very well. But again, it's become such a big part of the chamber, and I like to see the direction that's going now after the first full year. Like, let's get a little bit more, structure with the board of the tourism board. So that's a great way to go as someone who has a little experience, and I'm glad that that's happening, and I think the board members probably will be too. But it's a very good program. You can see what we did in the first year, so I can't wait to see the second year. But just, like I said, it's been a great effort, and the combination of the city, the chamber, private people that have helped, everything, and it's just really come together. And it's also, people need to remember to promote our city to people who don't live here, but also we have a lot of people who do live here who always say, I didn't know that was going on this weekend. And it still baffles, like, there's always something going on, well, except maybe in the middle of July, but most of the time. And so that's the way to get it out. And so always look to the chamber, look to the tourism website, and there's a calendar on there, and it tells you everything. And we try to make it a community calendar, so if any organization's having an event, call the chamber, call the tourism office and say, hey, we're having this, and they'll put it on the
They
calendar.
don't even have to call us. They can just go add an event to the community
you go.
calendar. Yeah.
Oh.
We eventually approve it, and that would be we as in Wendy.
But the
But-
thing is we want to promote every event that's going on. So if someone says, hey, what's going on in Casa Grande this weekend? There's a central location where you can go and say this. And then the last thing I'll end with is the social media presence. I don't know if it pops up on your guys' stuff all the time, but it's been a great thing promoting the local food, the local activities, pictures, everything. So it's just been a great, a good thing. So thank you for that. And just so everyone knows, it's a labor of love and passion, and it's really getting there. So
As I work on finishing my quarterly report for the city, thank you, I look at what we've accomplished. And this will be almost, a year in review, and I'm really proud of what it is a we thing here. It's the council's support. It's the chamber board, the advisory board, it's any volunteer, it's my team, because there's no such thing as that's not my job in our little office. So big events, it's all hands on deck. And so we've done so many wonderful things in the past year, and the energy that was in the room as we worked on this plan and the discussions that were taking place, I was very energized because I just think we're off to another good year. Thank you for your kind words.
Any other?
I forgot Taco Fest. We can't not
Of course.
talk about how great Taco Fest was and is going to continue to be.
Well,
So, thank
taco
you.
hats.
Taco hat.
Yeah.
We're always going to talk about it.
Still got one in my truck just in case. Ever need to pull it out.
Thank you, Mr. Taco Man.
You're the official MC, aren't you, Matt?
Matt's going to talk about it.
He's our mascot.
Any other questions or comments for Renee?
Thank you, Renee.
Yeah, thank you, Renee.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Have a good evening. Thank you.
all right. I thought is Robert here? There he is. Going to introduce the next subject?
Absolutely. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm glad to be able to introduce Gorman and Company. Glad they're here with us today. By way of we're going over some recent history, I'll recall that in the general plan, a part of that is to bring some increased housing to the downtown area here in Casa Grande. The goal of which bringing more people into the downtown will hopefully help revitalize the downtown, which is the goal. And so back in 2019, the city issued an RFI to have 5 city-owned properties be developed by a developer to help bring that housing to downtown. And unfortunately, the selected developer at the time backed out in 2023, but the city reissued that same RFI in 2023 as well. And we're grateful to have Gorman as someone who submitted and also was selected as the developer for this project. And the staff's been very, very impressed with them. They have a very high reputation, and they've been living up to it in every way. And we wanted to have them come in to the study session to be able to help give an overview to the council of their plan and also to be able to answer any questions that you might have. And the goal is to bring the contract that we're finalizing to the council meeting on August 19th. And so stay tuned for that. And with that, I'd like to introduce Sally, the Arizona Market President.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Robert, for the nice introduction. As Robert mentioned, I am the Arizona Market President for Gorman and Company, and we are so excited to be here and to now be part of the Casa Grande community. Wanted to give you a little bit of an overview about Gorman and Company tonight, a little background about our company, and then we're going to dive into a little bit of information about workforce housing, what is it, affordable housing, just very high level, but just to give you guys some more of an overview, if you will. And then Dan Clockey, who is our Director of Development for Gorman, is going to give you a little bit more detail on the projects themselves that we'll be working on in your community. So Gorman and Company is a mission-driven, for-profit company. So this year in January, we've been in business for 40 years. We're consistently one of the top 10 affordable housing developers in the country. We were just named number 7 this year. We have 725 team members nationwide. So we were actually started in Madison, Wisconsin by Gary Gorman. And since then, Arizona was the first ancillary market that we grew into in 2008, which was a really great time to start a new market, if everybody remembers that time. And so in any event, since that point in time, we've grown into the largest affordable housing developer in the state of Arizona. We've developed over 3,000 units since then, and we've got about 2,000 in our pipeline right now. So really exciting stuff. We're fully integrated, which means that we're not just the developer, but we also are the general contractor, the architect, property manager, and we do all of the compliance work and all of the fun asset management stuff as well. So some of the other states that we're involved in as well are Colorado. We're now in Oregon. We're in Georgia, Florida, Ohio, obviously Wisconsin, and Indiana, just to name a few. Let's see what I forgot. Oh, Arkansas, and we're actually in Mississippi, too. The majority of our projects are financed with low-income housing tax credits, which I'm going to talk about a little bit here. And we're, like I said, a leader in workforce affordable, and we do a lot of historic preservation projects throughout the country. We own and manage our projects for over 15 years. So we are your long-term neighbor, and you'll hear Dan talk about that. Oh, as well. Oh, sorry. I'm not clicking. I'm just talking. Not clicking. There we go. All right. So I just went through all those points, and I didn't even click. So, so you guys have this all in front of you. All right. Thank you, Dan. So some of the other partnerships we have within Arizona include Prescott. We're doing a veterans housing project there right now. We're just finishing a historic preservation project in Globe with the 100-year-old Hill Street School, which we're so excited about. It's going to be a senior project, and we have redone the existing Hill Street School and adding on another 28 units onto that building. We're involved in Yuma, have built there. Avondale, Nogales, another senior project there. City of Surprise, we're now on our 2nd project. Glendale, we're on our 4th right now. City of Tempe, Chandler, Tucson, and Phoenix. So all in all, as I mentioned, we've developed over 2,000 units, 27 projects. We've got 841 under construction, 1,500 in pre-development, and we manage over 2,000 units through Gorman Property Management. So I'm going to show you some pictures here. So this is our Mesa Heights project in Yuma, just to give you guys an idea. We tried to include just an exterior and an interior picture. A lot of people always have this stigma of what affordable housing or workforce housing really looks like, and we pride ourselves on the fact that our projects look just like market rate apartments, and that's the intent. So that's how all of our projects are designed. This is Heritage at Surprise. This is a partnership with the Housing Authority of Maricopa County. This is our Monroe Gardens project in partnership with City of Phoenix. And this one was a really fun community involvement deal where the community wanted to kind of do a New Orleans theme, if you will. So we've got really cool balconies and everything that I was actually a little worried about when we were planning it, but it turned out really great. West End Station is in Tucson, just right off of Congress on the light rail there. So that project has been a huge success. And then we've got Gracie's Village. This is right on the light rail on Apache in Tempe. This project was actually owned by Gracie's Church. We're in partnership with the city of Tempe and Gracie's to create this affordable housing. So the first one in Tempe. And we've got the Gracie's Thrift Store there and do a lot of resident service programs through this project as well through the church. So a lot of what Gorman does are partnerships with municipalities, with nonprofits, with state agencies. So we're really a neighborhood neighbor. It takes a village to build these projects. So we have a lot of partnerships in putting these together. This project is called the Saluna Apartments. This project we're in partnership with City of Phoenix on, and we received what's called a Choice Neighborhoods Grant from HUD, Housing and Urban Development, in the amount of $30 million in 2018. This has enabled us to redevelop 577 public housing units that were around the old St. Luke's Hospital, if you guys are familiar at all with St. Luke's Hospital around 16th Street and Van Buren. And we're basically redeveloping that into over 1,100 brand new units of housing. So we will be replacing all the old units. All the people that used to live in those 577 will be living in these new projects. And we've also integrated market rate with this. So it's a true mixed income development. And we are about halfway through right now. This is Valor on 8th in Tempe. This is just a stone's throw from the light rail and ASU. This is a veterans project in partnership with the city in Tempe and Save the Family Foundation, who provide all the resident services to the veterans we serve. This focus was actually on women and children veterans, because a lot of times there's a lot of properties that serve primarily men, and this is a family development. And then last but not least, this one is Centerline. This is 368 units, partnership with City of Glendale. And this is an amazing project that's under construction, slated to open this fall. So I know that was a lot of pictures, but I wanted really everybody to get an idea as to the scope of what we develop and what our projects look like. And then just a real quick commercial on what is the difference between affordable and workforce housing. I know we're talking a lot about the fact that we're going to be providing workforce housing in this community. We're actually going to be combining kind of a blended affordable and workforce. And to give you a quick overview of what that means, typically market rate housing, as you see the top line there, is what we call an area median income of over 120% of what people earn. And then when you drop down to between 120 and say 60%, you get into workforce housing. So that's a lot of your emergency responders, a lot of the teachers, a lot of folks obviously fit the bill there. And then people that earn at or below 60% of the area median income are what is referred to as affordable housing, and that's the what we get low-income housing tax credits to help finance. And just last year, there was a new stipulation in the IRS code that allows low-income housing tax credits, so we could do what's called income averaging. So we can now actually do a low-income housing tax credit financing project to go up to 80% of area median income. So that's what we'll be doing with the projects in Casa Grande. So it'll be an average of 60% area median income for the residents, but it'll include both the up to 80%, so it'll include workforce and affordable. So to give you an idea of what those rents and incomes look like, each year, the Arizona Department of Housing goes through, and this is nationwide, the incomes and the rent levels are determined based on the census tracts and so forth. So this is the 2024 income and rent levels that we're abiding by now. Next spring, the 2025 rent and income levels will come out. So with that, I'm going to have Dan come up and talk a little bit more about the specific locations and projects that we are looking at working on.
Which one do I hit?
this one.
Thank you, Sally. Again, my name is Dan Clockey. I serve as the Director of Development here for Gorman in the state of Arizona. And very happy to be here before you. These are the kinds of projects, honestly, that we really, really like. This isn't just about housing. It's about community development, and it's really about bringing more energy to a place where the community and the local government wants to put in resources to try to rejuvenate it. So I'm an old downtown guy. I've worked on several Main Street programs in my career. I ran the Downtown Phoenix Partnership. So one of the first things every downtown needs, and sometimes doesn't think about, is affordable housing. Because what happens is, after it takes off, it gets too expensive to build it. And then you don't have housing for people. So you all are way ahead of the game and thinking very progressively in the sense of forward thinking. You know, how many years down the line when our downtown takes off? So just to give you a quick overview here of the different projects, we're looking at 3 phases for this project. And so if you look on, I guess it would be your right side, maybe the sort of the aerial map of the different phases. So we're envisioning 3 different phases, with the first phase being the parcel, the vacant parcel in downtown, which says number 5. So I'm actually kind of going backwards here. So number 5 would be the first phase. And so we're envisioning 2 sort of bar buildings, if you will, with the alley in the middle that you can see on the other side of the slide there, which would have about 64 units. So this will be right across the street from St. Anthony's Church and School. We envision this as a family project. I think it would be wonderful if kids could literally walk across the street to school if they attended that school. And so we have that in mind for this first phase. And then let me go on to the next phase. So phase 2, now we're jumping across to Main Street, so on the other side of the railroad tracks. And I'll flip back to this one. Do I have a little, can I point? Here we go. For those in the audience, I guess you can't see that if you're sitting down there, but so we're on the other side of the tracks here on Main Street, and so this phase would include 2 buildings in the area here. So you can see 64 units. Oh, excuse me, I didn't push. Whoops. There we go. There it is. So this phase would include a couple different buildings, 42 units and 54 units. And so again, this would be on the other side of the tracks over on Main Street. And so again, and these drawings are really just initial concepts and thoughts about the buildings. We fully expect to get lots of feedback from you all, from the community and so forth. That's how we run our projects. We totally expect to get a lot of ideas and suggestions. And then the third phase, whoops, if I can do this right. The third phase then would include the 2 historic buildings as well as an additional 60 units. Mm-hmm. So all in about 220 units plus the historic buildings. We envision the one historic building, the Shaughnessy House, as that's the Adobe house that's there on site. We see that kind of as more of a community center for one of the phases with a leasing office and so forth. But we also envision an area around the outside of it where people can gather. So it'll be a great, if you need supplies or whatever like that, you've got sort of the leasing office right there. You can be on the outside then. And then, of course, the other building, the Casa Grande Hotel, we envision using that for some sort of commercial use. And so we're sort of puzzling through that right now. That one's going to take a little bit of effort. It has a few structural issues that we're going to have to think through, but we're excited about it. And as Sally said, we've done a lot of historic buildings over time. We've actually redone 9 schoolhouses. Our corporate office is in an old school, so we love these kinds of projects. I think they bring a lot of joy to the community as well as to us. So those are the 3 different phases that we envision. Wanted to talk a little bit about the process then as well. So how does this all work together? First, as I've already mentioned, we really believe in working with communities and getting feedback and an understanding of what's important to them as we begin that design process. And so one of the first things that we'll do is we'll have some sort of community meeting just to get feedback from folks, especially people around the site, obviously from staff, you all on council, and just to get a sense, what's important? What are you trying to accomplish here? And we know you want a walkable urban downtown, and so that's always been our intent of all these projects, but we also want to hear it from people in the community. We have had several conversations. We've toured St. Vincent de Paul's store, and we fully expect to be working with them on some possibilities in this first phase. We know that they provide a lot of good services for the community, and we think we can accommodate some of the things that they have right now in their one building so that they can expand and really make a better store in the existing building that they have. So we would look at potentially working on some and having some of their other services in that first phase. The next thing is in terms of a timeline, and the way that these tax credits work is there's two types, a 9%, which is competitive, and a 4%, which is not competitive by and large. So the 9% happen once every year, and we envision two of these phases having 9% tax credits. So these are time-consuming projects that it does take time to get the financing in place. As Sally said, we came here in about 2008, 2009. We've successfully won a 9% tax credit every single year that we've been here in this market. We choose projects that we think score well and can get us the award that we need to move forward financially. But they do take time. And so we would, the idea here for the first phase would be to apply for tax credits, 9% tax credits. April 1st is when they're due, and they're awarded in early June. And then typically it takes about 9 months or so after the award to close financially on that project and then start construction. So that would be the first phase. And then we'll follow it up, obviously, the next year with the second 9% tax credit, and probably wedged in between there somewhere we'll work on the 4% tax credit, which is one of the other phases. So I won't get into the weeds. I'll just put you to sleep, so I don't want to do that. But we see like a general continuum of award, and then the third phase as well with the 4% tax credits. So if you all are kind enough to approve the development agreement in August, we fully expect to begin working on all the pre-development things, because applications typically take 4 to 5 months to put together. So we got to get it ready for April 1st. So we're going to roll right into our work on that, assuming things go well in August with you all. And then just keep rolling from there. So we are excited to begin, and we really hope we can become long-term community members here. And just so you know, the way that these tax credits work is at a minimum, you own it for 15 years. And 9% tax credits, you typically own 30 years, and now the latest ones are for 50 years. So we're here for a long time with you. We're your long-term neighbor, which means that we better make sure that it stays in good shape. We are good neighbors, that we're good management of our properties, and that we're somebody who's the community is excited to have here. So we are really excited, and thank you very much for this opportunity, and we look forward to being your neighbor. Thank you. Oh, if there's any questions.
Hey, Dan, maybe if you wouldn't mind, could you explain the one chart that kind of showed the rent rates, and maybe explain how that works with a 9% LIHTC? Meaning, what is somebody actually going to pay for rent?
So basically, if you look at the 60% column under the income levels.
So that's a person that would qualify because they're at 60% of the median income?
Correct, and that is what the 60% of the area median income levels are.
Okay.
So for a one-person household, for instance, that would be a income cap of $43,200, and that rent would equate to $1,156 for that unit. Now, like we said, there's going to be a blend all the way down to, I think, 40% to 80%. That's going to blend out to 60.
Just kind of depends on where the individual falls out in their income.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the rents are driven by the qualifications of the residents.
Okay.
Yeah, but 100% of these units, as we're currently underwriting the projects, will be at that 80% or below, which we've done, some preliminary market studies, and certainly the market is in extreme demand for those residents here.
Yeah, because I know today we have, I believe, 3 LIHTC projects, but they're 4%.
You've got the old Kachina apartments, I think, over as well. But yeah, you guys do have some new 4% coming on. And then you've got the old subsidized Kachina, and I think there's another one, Paradise, I can't remember. But in any event, yeah, you do have some new 4% deals
So,
as well.
yeah, so this would kind of be the first 9% that we've had in a long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
Yep.
We used to have some, but they went to market rate.
Right.
5 years ago, I think it was.
Yeah.
So,
I've been in this business more years than I want to tell you. So I know. But yeah, so it's been a very long time since Casa Grande received a new 9%
yeah.
LIHTC
Well, we
deal.
haven't built an apartment complex in probably almost 20 years, so.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah,
It
it is
is.
exciting. So, yeah, this is amazing. We've had this property, you know, the city's had this property and it doesn't bring in any property tax, it doesn't bring in any revenue. You know, because we own it and it just sits there and it's dirt. So this actually may bring some affordable housing to some of our workforce, which would be very nice. And it would also really kind of pick up our south side along the tracks and also address the Shaughnessy House and the Old Mission, you know, which are all historic, probably the 2 oldest buildings in Casa Grande. And with your help, that would be amazing to see those refurbished and actually used. It would be very, very cool.
Well, and as Dan mentioned too, a lot of the outreach that we do are with communities, and you guys are being so proactive by providing the land that you do have for that purpose, right? Because you could do all sorts of things with that land, but that's how we're successful too, to identify sites and to work with municipalities, because land has to be set aside for this use, and that's really the benefit.
Well, and I'll finish. I'll stop talking here. But the Gorman Group is a group that buys into a community and owns the property and manages the property. They don't build it, sell it, and walk away. So they're going to be here for a while, which is that's the cool part for me, anyway. I kind of talked too much. Anybody else? Lisa, go ahead.
And you know, we've been talking about this for years.
Yes, we have.
We
yeah.
really have, and especially this property. And the Shaughnessy House, oh my goodness, ever since I've been on the city council, we've been discussing what we're going to do. So, of course, we were disappointed when the other, developer came in and, they pulled out. But I was so excited to see your name come up and your bid, because we've heard so much about you. I know the mayor and I were in a meeting over a year ago, I think, Mayor, with the Arizona Department of Housing, and they gave some examples of your projects
Yeah,
here.
Gorman
So,
was one of them, yeah.
So we heard, and saw, the work that you've done, and so we were, excited. However, it's not the however, but there was a nonprofit that also submitted, but I was happy to hear, and I know our city manager brought you two together, and that's St. Vincent de Paul. They were disappointed because they were really hoping that they can expand, because they are busting at the seams. They provide a tremendous service to our city. So I was happy to see our city manager connect the two of you, and I'm pleased to see that you have that. We're having discussions with them to see how you can come together. So thank you. Thank you for coming into our community. This is something we need. We're excited. All of us are. We knew this is what we wanted to do in that downtown area, and we just waited for the right person to come along. And I'm super excited, because I really feel you guys are going to be, great asset and bring something that's very, very well needed. So thanks again.
Well, thank you.
Donna?
First of all, I had the opportunity, I drove by Gracie's and the one on Monroe in the Valley this weekend. I was really impressed with the upkeep, of those facilities. My question, though, that I have is in clarification. When you talked about you're here for like 15 years, after that 15 years, what has happened to some of your properties? Because obviously you all keep up on what you're doing. But when you leave that community, how does, those developments, prospered, or did they go, were there issues going with upkeep and things? Because that's the one question that I was asked this weekend. So that's why I wanted to drive by a couple of them. So I'm just curious.
I appreciate you took the time to go do that, so thank you for doing that. We always invite everybody. We're happy to give tours of our projects. We're happy to do any of that. We invite council and staff to come and see our assets and to meet our staff and to see how they operate. But it's an excellent question with regard to the 15 years. So basically, the way that the Arizona Department of Housing works, and basically it's called Section 42 from the IRS, mandates the low-income housing tax credit program. It's a 15-year initial compliance period. So when just say a big insurance company is going to buy those tax credits, they're buying those tax credits for that 15-year period. And that's basically how the investment, again, we'll get into the weeds as we go later on when we start showing you guys financial structures. But that's what the initial compliance period is. Then there's another extended use period is another 15 years. So a lot of times at the end of the first 15 years, your initial loan is paid off at that point in time, and you can re-syndicate. So you can actually go out and re-syndicate, get another tranche of tax credits and debt, and do more capital improvements. So that's a whole business in itself. And a lot of times what Gorman will do is just re-syndicate at that point in time. But you have to understand that land use restriction is in place for a minimum of 30 years. Okay. So anybody that buys that property is going to have to abide by the same debt or income levels, and they're going to come in and re-syndicate the same way. So even if Gorman decided to sell their managing member position, we would only do so to another affordable housing developer, most likely. I mean, it could be, doesn't necessarily mean it's a nonprofit or for-profit or partnership, but a lot of times the way the business model works is we want to stay in the community. Our hope is that we'll end up building more in Casa Grande as well as years go on. And we would re-syndicate and stay in the deal, and then that adds on again.
Okay,
So
thanks for the clarification.
Trying to stay a little bit high level, but yeah.
Bob, you had a question?
Yeah, I have two questions, and they're both safety and security related. Do you generally fence and gate your projects? And number two, does the federal funding restrict or not allow crime-free addendums to your lease agreements?
So all of our projects, in fact, we belong to the Crime-Free Multifamily Housing Association. So all of our projects have crime-free. We actually have more stringent qualifications to move into an affordable housing project than a lot of the market rate projects and luxury apartments do. Okay. So we have very strict guidelines because of the strict parameters within which the compliance works with the program for the financing. So with regard to security, we've got state-of-the-art camera systems and security programs in our projects. Depends on the location. If we were to fence and gate it, a lot of our projects, even in downtown Phoenix, 16th and Van Buren, they really promote the walkable urban code. So everything is open, connectivity to the streets, to transportation within each project. So the idea is not to block it off. So our vision, I think, initially would keep them open, but with all the security measures in place. We build so that we are very sensitive to where pony walls go, where landscaping goes, where everything goes, so there's clear eyes of visibility. We build our projects so that there's all eyes on the connections, so that's how the units are designed. So there's a very special detail within our design group as far as how we attend to that.
Okay, thank you.
Matt, go ahead.
Thank you. I actually got to see a presentation about your projects, I think 2 years ago at the League of Cities. We had talked about it. And I thought, man, he was just starting the Globe project then, I believe. And I thought, man, this would be great because I've always said as a city, we don't build affordable housing. It's not our business. Right. But this is how we make it happen, is by partnerships like this. So we're really happy to see you. Unfortunately, our last partners took a little longer and then couldn't do it. So I like that you have a timeline laid out as long as everything works going forward from here, which is great. And I'd also like to say my daughter actually interned at Soluna for a semester during her college program up there. And then the Monroe, I've walked by there a lot of times. She lives there. And I mean, I thought, that was back when these looked like New Orleans. And I guess that's what they are too. So
way.
I thought that was really neat because all the stuff that you guys have done has a lot of character and they're different. It's not just a, like you said, it's not just a box. And I saw some preliminary drawings. I know we're far away, but I'm excited to see what you guys can do to make it stand out and to make it a real neighborhood, because that's a great historic area, you know, for our city. So, you know, and maybe they could be different all the way. And the other thing that's neat, and I know you said St. Vincent de Paul, you're partnering with them, we know why, but there's also a lot of other organizations down there, I'm sure, like Main Street and, you know, all the chamber, all those are down there, and I'm sure everybody's gonna be involved in the process, right?
We already talked to Renee.
Oh, yeah. So that's exciting. Just clarifying for people. And then looking at these rent rates here, this is from Maricopa County. We would have different ones for Pinal County, I would imagine.
Actually, the way that
Or is that- or does
the
it use
Department of
Maricopa?
Housing, it's blended. Yep.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's just the state average right there.
Just for, well, no, this is just for Maricopa and Pinal.
Oh, Maricopa and
And then
Pinal.
there's different rates for different counties, but Maricopa and Pinal got teamed up together.
Okay, I was hoping, because I think ours would probably skew
I know.
a bit different than that.
It's actually a really good thing for financing purposes.
Okay, so, yeah, so there's good and bad to everything, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate the fact, so basically, once you get started, it's about a year and a half to 2 years from,
Yeah, we usually say from right when we, get started, it's a solid 18, more or less 24 months until we're in the ground.
because like Lisa said, I've been here a while too, and we've always had all these ideas for downtown and the Shaughnessy, I mean, touring the Shaughnessy house, and they wouldn't let us look at the hotel, go inside for various reasons. But, and we've been excited, we had, all different kinds of ideas down there, but I'm really happy to see that something, is hopefully gonna move forward at this point. Another question I had is, you said that the Casa Grande Hotel would be commercial or some, I mean, I know that's far off. Are any of the residential buildings gonna have like, commercial on the ground floor possibly, or anything like, is there any concept like that? And I saw you did on that one in Tempe, realizing that's a much bigger street with the light rail, but.
So the building in downtown on the vacant land, that will have some, obviously, St. Vincent de Paul would be there on the ground floor.
Okay.
With active uses. Our leasing office would be there with active uses. The buildings on Main Street
one right there.
probably would not, because we have the historic buildings. we
Yeah,
wanna
but you'd
use
have that there.
For that, so.
But the other ones, you're
And they
looking
can
at
take
that.
them out of there.
So, that's great.
And we want to maximize the rental units, right? I mean, we
Yeah,
want to
that's
bring
the-
as many housing units as we can.
Because we had a study with the Urban Land Institute a few years ago, and surprisingly, we have a few things downtown, and we're kind of missing people, actually, because we have a grocery store down there, we have, we have restaurants, we have stuff, we just need people to be there longer, during the evenings too, so.
You got a great little downtown.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you really do.
And this is another catalyst that's really, would help it elevate to the next level.
That
Thank
could be a win-win.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody else have any other comments or questions? Well, this is exciting, so thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
Thanks, guys. Who wants the clicker?
Oh, yeah, we have one down there.
All right, well, we'll stand adjourned, and we'll start at 7:05, okay? So we've got about 7 minutes, is that okay? Give everybody enough time?